Welcome to Macro Crest, where we focus on fundamentals for our directional bias, and then we have technicals for our entry. Last week was a beautiful week. We had a very terrible NFP data, labor data actually. Um, it was very bad. It was at 20k, as you would see. And then we also had the labor data in card, very bad too. So at 7.1 from 6.9, it is worse than we expected. 6.9 and 7, and it's also this employment change at negative 65k. As regards to what was forecasted and then previous, so it's very bad. So the average hourly earnings still came out okay. So we still have inflationary pressure there, quite. But then, as we said last week, if it should come out below the 75k, then there's a problem. If you also look at this, what I was really focused on, based on the fact that Powell made mention of this, it came out as expected at 4.3, rising above the 4.2%. So showing weakness entirely across the board in terms of the labor data. Going to our next week data, we have the CPI as the most important data for next week, still in the USA. We have Schlegel actually going to give a speech, but it's not that important. The inflation data from China. But if you look at this, we have interest rates in the euro. It is being said that they are going to hold, right? And if they are going to hold, it means we are expecting euro strength a little bit. And the CPI data year on year, the market is pricing in rising above 2.9, at least going to 2.9%. Now look at this. This is 2.9, right? But it has been rising to 2.7, and it has been 2.7 for the past 2 months. If it should come out at 2.7, you know very well that we are not going to be bothered with USD strength. We'll be looking at the USB weakness throughout, and then by September 17th there will be a rate cut. GDP from the pound, the market is pricing in a little bit to the downside, but it's not much of a deal because we are looking at the long term. So coming to the chart, what we do have for the Dixie is, as we expected, we will be going to the downside. And if you look at it from your 4 hours time frame, it was quite clear where the market was going to, because this was the liquidity breakup structure, tapped, dropped, pulled back. So this was all this support resistance area was just the zone of manipulation. So what I'm expecting this week is to continue to the downside before Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday should go to the downside, but I'm entirely bearish on the dollar. The yen kind of bearish against other pairs like the euro, but it's bringing up its strength a little bit. So as I said earlier, euro, yeah, the euro USD we made mention last week, you'll be looking for longs. The market came into this demand. One of the demands I never expected, because I expected this point to be broken first before I get in, but it's now broken. So I'm expecting a push here and then we can long. But on the weekly time frame, you can see the previous candle. It's kind of a doji pin bar. But on the daily, you see that's like a liquidity grab, but it's going to break because a lot of people think this supply is supposed to hold. For the technical traders, purely technical traders, so I'm expecting a push, a pullback, and then a push. So expect a demand to be created here, then I continue longing The reason is because if we look at this high is supposed to be taken on this time frame. It is very, very clear that it has to be taken. We made mention of this high, a low, so we are expecting a higher high. It has to be taken. That's about 200 pips to the upside, about 200 pips. So let's look at the GU, which is not one of my most impressive setups. So this shot was quite nice. Yeah, it was almost perfect, a beautiful shot, but I was not interested in the USD pairs. The most interesting USD pair for me is the Swiss, and we have the China, because this is equivalently the same as the dollar index, and I'm expecting it to continue to the downside. Looking at this from our weekly, you can see this is a pin bar going to your daily time frame. This is not a daily structure, so it's actually the 4 hours time frame. Look at this, it's like almost perfect. The market did what it had to do, coming back to this supply after grabbing breaking structure here. So what we expect this week, we also have a breakout structure here, and then I'm expecting there should be some form of range here. Then we have a drop, then pull back, and then we tap the demand, the supply to drop. The next one on my list is China. So let me clear all this. On the monthly time frame, right, we are actually bullish. So this is a high, this is a low, this is potential high. The market has been struggling here, grabbed liquidity by this week. So there's this demand that was holding, that pushed this price to the upside, right? So everything now is cool. Where is the next imbalance? Is this area, but is that not too far? Because that's the monthly time frame. Probably yes. So now we understand, if this is a liquidity grab on this, on the monthly, now this is the weekly time frame, this should drop lower. So probably area of demand is this that was not mitigated. So this is now a liquidity in a sense. The previous candle we are looking at is this, so I'm expecting a bearish open at once. I'm expecting a bearish open, and the market was reacting at this D1 supply, which we anticipated last week. So I'm expecting the price to continue lower. The distance is still far away, so remember, this is just our breakout structure here. So this is just the first step. But if the CPI should come in hotter than expected, and probably the market wants to push higher, it might just push here, then 17th we just see this drop based on the cut. But I'm still bearish on it regardless, depending on how I see it. That's for the dollar. For the dollar yen, I was anticipating price coming here at open of last week, but no, it went higher, grabbed liquidity. I'm expecting this to still go lower before we might look for longs, if we would be looking for longs. But for now, I'm not even bothered about that. I can't trade the USD card because both of them are weak. The NZD USD is also weak. I can't be trading it. But looking at this very well, this was the position this week, although I went out at this D1 demand. I left here, so this is out of the picture. This is now the area that broke structure. This was the breakout structure. So this is an entire range. If we pull back, it is this demand I'm expecting before we can see any short, if there will be a short, right? And or if this would be our new low to create a high. And that is for NZD USD, but I'll be more interested in AU more than NU. Why? Because this is a clearer structure. This is weekly. We see these points here. We can call our target. We see the D1. Now I could easily say that this is my high, this is a low, expecting a high. So this is a break of structure here. So I expect a sharp push to the upside on AU. So AU is a better focus than the NZD USD. We now move on to the Swiss. I'm bullish on the Swiss. Remember I made mention about this Swiss position. I was in this Swiss position. I got stopped out early, got back in. So I'm still expecting Swiss strength. But if there's a break of structure, this is just what I want to say. It's just plain and simple. The Swiss yen also looks cool because it is reacting from this demand. But it's not my kind of setup, but I might get in if I see a better option. Also, we have the card weakness, and now this is a fantastic setup, perfect setup. Remember we talked about longing here 2 weeks ago, and price went in there, went to the upside, then dropped massively. I was expecting it to mitigate this demand. Unfortunately it didn't, but it is breaking structure here. So I expect this to happen on the pound Swiss, pound card. Remember it is also bullish on this time frame. We have our high, we have our low, we have our high, and now this is a low. So we are expecting a high, and I've been looking at longs on this guy for ages. We had a couple of weeks pullback, so that's pound card. Euro card is similar, but it's left me. So on the weekly time frame, this is already bullish, right? On the daily, I've been bullish because this is a high, this is a low, this is a high. I was looking at this as a short pullback to push, then probably when price comes back it grabs that as liquidity. Going down, this was my demand. If you go to the 4 hours time frame, so this was, I counted this as the demand. I saw price at this area. I was like, okay, we can long that. Going to the 1 hour time frame, we had a break of this high, so I wanted to long here while my pending order was below this week, expecting a sweep before a push, but the market jumped on the bad report from card. I think that was a 5 minutes or 1 minute. It was a jump, direct jump. So unfortunately I missed that. So on next week I'm expecting, probably if there's going to be a push lower to this area, then I can long. It will be fantastic. So basically I'm just riding the weakness in the dollar, weakness in the card, and the deep little kind of weakness. If you're going to short, it's just this. And card yen looks fantastic too, but I'm not too bothered about it. So just as we anticipated, gold and silver did exactly what it was supposed to do, but it went more than I anticipated. It did not come to this zone. So now we now have a high. Let me clear everything. We now have a high here, we have a low here. So if there's going to be a high created, and then we can see a pullback before we can long again. So this will be a great opportunity next week. Gold, I don't think gold is going to drop anytime soon. On the weekly time frame, it's going to the upside and it's just bouncing up. The monthly time candle is going higher, so if there should be a pullback in the future, this will be a demand, but currently there is no pullback yet. The dollar is weak. There is still crisis. Ukraine has not come into agreement with Russia. India, China, the BRICS nation are still displaying their power, so gold is spiking to the upside. Remember, we had oil analysis, which we said we'll be looking at shorts due to this liquidity. We made mention of that last week, and now we have a fantastic. It was a perfect trade, but I was not in the trade because of one or two things. But that's just it for the week. Do have a safe trading week.